In a world where kingdoms fall and stars still remember names, this song was forged from magic memory and the dream that refused to die. Welcome to a tale where wonder still breathes. This is the short story, The Notebook We Never Let Go, a love written in rain and memory created by Pacampara. If this tale stirred something in you, a memory, a dream, or a truth, our Ko-fi, Amazon, and Patreon links are in the description. Support helps us keep writing for you and the ones you hold dear. To my three muses, my constant laughter and my reason for writing, this book begins where your hearts meet mine. For Yung Soon, whose light taught me patience, who burns gently through every shadow I've known, you are the first page of every dawn, the quiet certainty that even rainbows need rain. And if ever I forget how to love, I will open to you. For Wiin, who comes in watercolor and speaks in sketches, you taught me that gentleness is another form of strength. You remind me that art is not what we make, it's how we forgive the world and still create. If I ever lose my way, I will follow your melody home into my moonbule, my storm and my mirror, who turns laughter into courage and chaos into rhythm. You are the spark that refuses to sleep, the verse that dares the universe to dance again. If I ever stop dreaming, I know you'll tease me back to life. Together you are my seasons. You've made the rain worth waiting for, the silence worth filing, and the world worth rewriting one page at a time. May this notebook and this life and these worlds be the song I could never sing without you. And when the ink fades and the memory blurs, may every drop of rain remember our names. The first rain of spring returns to soul like a quiet apparition, testing the edges of rooftops and coaxing the city into softer focus. The apartments across the narrow street blur into watercolor, neon smeared to pastel taillights dissolving into petals. Inside the house, the windows bead with silver, and their home takes on its old habit of listening. Rain changes the room's timbre. It fills what is unsaid. It lays its breath on paper. The wind sits by the window with a mug cooling beside her, the steam already a memory above black tea. She's drawing a cat asleep in an impossible pocket of folded blankets, one paw extended to the margins as if the page itself was warm. She draws the small crease of a contented mouth, and then with a quick wrist and a tiny whisker, a flourish as light as forgiveness. The rain taps a new rhythm on the glass, and she smiles without looking up. She knows that rhythm. It is the one that makes words braver. Across the room, on the low table by the couch, lies the brown notebook. The first one. Its cover is softened by the time, thread frayed and corners rounded like stones in a river. It rests with a weight out of proportion to its dimension, the way objects do when they have been entrusted with years. On the spine is crescent watermark from a long ago cup. On the black flap, a faint shadow of a pressed camellia that once shone with white, and now is a memory of white. The rain remembers everything it has touched, and so does paper. When Jess crosses the room, the boards do not creak under his step. He has learned not to interrupt these moments. How the house composes itself whenever rain begins. How his wives fall into that hush where their true selves grow legible. He does not speak first. In the symphony, silence is the overture. The brown notebook is not where it began, of course. It began under a different train, in a different room with a rattling expression machine and the record player that made the air smell like Billie Holiday. It began when Jess arrived late, coke speckled with the droplets, and Wayne teased him for carrying the weather inside. He had placed the notebook between them like an apology in an invention. No rules, no rehearsal, just a place to keep words that refused mouths. She had written the first line with a fountain pen, the ink blooming with the twilight patience for Wien, who teaches the rain to hum. What he did not know is until much later, the exact thought had passed through her mind when she first ran her hand over that cover. She had been 9 years old in Jeonju, sitting at her grandmother's porch, a summer storm thick as a breath all around her. Her grandmother had given her an old receipt slips to draw on, and Wien had learned that rain could make paper stronger if you let it. If you did not panic when the ink feathered in the lion's bird. Don't fight it, her grandmother had said, rubbing her shoulder. Let the rain do what rain does, and you do what you do. On that cafe afternoon, with Jess's hopeful eyes in this awkward offering, Wien remembered the girl who learned not to be afraid of watermarks, and she took the notebook, not because she understood what it would become, but because she knew rain and paper could be friends. Now, in their living room, present and quiet, she touches that same cover in a way a pianist touches the lid before the first note. You still keep it close, she says, not looking up from the cat's delicate ear. Close keeps me honest, he answers, which means this is how I remember we began, and this is how I write the long way home. From the kitchen, a laugh, bright, conspirational. Then the impression of swift footsteps. Buell appears with 2 pairs of chopsticks pinched between her fingers like drumsticks, tapping a mute tattoo on the doorframe. Dinner in 10, she declares, or 20 depending on the noodle's mood. She winks in the direction of the brown notebook. If anyone is about to confess a crime, make it funny. You'll be the first to know, Jess says. And when she tosses him a packet of roasted seaweed, he catches it without looking, as if the house itself had told him it was airborne. Young-soon is in the study with a lavender notebook, its cover breathing candlelight. She reads her own handwriting the way one reads the sky for weather. Curious, amused, braced for change. The pages are a map of long nights, petals pressed and thin as breath, faint drips of wax like small moons, verses that begin with confidence and end with conditional verbs. She runs a hand over the ribbon, and the cover murmurs against her skin. For Young-soon, may eternal dawn, her burn softly but never fades. The first line insists, and she feels the truth fit itself through her bones. She whispers, not a sun that blinds, but a dawn that saves. Because that was his answer once, and because she needs it again tonight in this rain. He finds her there and leans in the door without stealing the light. She does not startle. The house makes his presence a familiar softness. I can't decide if the old me was braver, she says, closing the book and lifting her eyes, or just less careful with the matches. You were never careless, he says. You set warmth where you stood, and that's different. She smiles the smile the lavender notebook had pocketed many times, wry and undone at once. You write those lines for the book or for me? For both, he says, so neither can deny it later. She laughs, quiet and grateful, then marks her place with the ribbon, candlelight plays with her hair, and the rain knots in the air with the scent of wet spring and the possibility. She thinks of the balcony nights when she wrote the candlewick, each lyric a string tied to something fragile inside her chest, and this answers a patient tug toward the shore. Dinner gathers them as evenings do. The oak table has a scar from a pot put down too hot 3 summers ago. They keep meaning to sand it, but the memory is the part of the grain now. The 3 notebooks lie in the open as a place settings, brown, lavender, and scarlet, spines relaxed, pages slightly cupped. Buell brings noodles braided with the sesame and scallion, a bowl of sliced radish that looks like coins on the moon, grilled mackerel caught under a sky They did not see but can taste anyway. Ween moves candles close to the notebooks as if warming hands. It is not a ritual because they never announced it, but because all feel the secret hush around the table when it happens. Someone reads a line aloud. Tonight, is it when Ween who begins tracing an old entry with the side of her pinky. Haiku, she says, mock formal then in a voice that could be a rain prayer. The street light flickers. Rain falls soft as confession. You breathe and I write. She glances up, eyes steeping to mischief. That was the night you learned the curse of writing within arm's reach. Every curse you gave me turned into a song, Jess says. Easy and she swats the air like a remark. Is the housefly. Youngsun opens the lavender book to a page to the pressed camellia, printed into a transparency by years. She reads the words she once wrote, like holding out a vulnerable wrist. They call me solar, but I am afraid of light. Sometimes I wish I just could be Youngsun, the girl who hums alone in her room. The rain leans closer, as if it wants to hear what he wrote back. He doesn't need to look. Those lines live at the hard book of the cover of his throat. You are not a flame to fear. You are a warmth made visible. If the world looks away, I'll still watch the light dance on your face. She doesn't speak her gratitude. It is everywhere anyway. In her shoulders settling, in the way her mouth softens into a dawn that nobody names. Dinner is not a performance but a weather pattern. Conversation breaks like warm shoulders, laughter pulls, and silence recedes to feed the ground of being. When they have finished their bowls and their throats feel like salted with the truth, Ween brings the brown notebook to the center like an offering. Read the rain once, she asks him, soft as the verb itself. He knows which she means, and he flips to the pages where the ink turned and listening like proof. He reads it without theatricality. The rain remembers you. It falls in your handwriting. Even when I forget the melody, it hums your name. And if silence had wings, they would land on your shoulder and wait for me there. And I keep a bowl on the windowsill to gather what the sky leaves behind. When you touch its surface, it learns your name. And because every refrain has its shadow, this, even if the rain washes everything away, we will write it again. They do not move or clap. They do not need to. The rain outside thins its voice like the city is holding out its breath too. And someone, maybe the house, turns Billy down into a hush. Youngsun reaches for his wrist, circling it with her fingers in a small promise of presence. Blue leans forward on her elbows, the candle glow pitching into a constellations into her eyes. Ween interrupts the stillness by adding a doodle in the corner, 3 raindrops falling into a teacup. She blows on the ink until it dries. Tea of memory, she pronounces, pairs well with the noodle soup and good mistakes. The night would curl here and call itself perfect, but stories keep a depth to their origins. And this one owes something past to a loss. It returns the way losses do, in a room that looks like any other, on a day that would have been otherwise forgettable if not for the one thing that unstitched it. She had lost the notebook. It was years ago, but the moment still lives like a splinter under the skin of time, pressed at the right place, and there's the same ache. She had told him with her hands already apologizing, fingers twisting in the sleeve of her sweater. I left it on the bus, she said, voice small and sure she did not deserve forgiveness. I ran back, but it was gone. He had swallowed something sharp. It's only paper, he said, because he believed in not letting objects rule rooms. But that night, the city became a corridor he could not finish walking. He had gone to the terminal with its sodium lamps and benches he had memorized from 1,000 ordinary evenings. He had asked drivers who shook their heads with sleep still crystallized in their eyes. He had asked the woman with the mop whose hands taught the floors to shine. He had asked a boy rolling coins around his knuckles the way people do when they are terrified of stillness. He could not stop asking because the rain had taken over his body and turned it into movement. He traced the route down the river Han, a slab of mercury under sky that would not choose a color. He wanted to drop his voice into that water and see if it sank like all other sentences he could not say, but instead he sat and let his back find the cold. He breathed until the city forgot its shape and then remembered it. Dawn took its time. The rain turned from insistence to a haze, and when he finally walked toward the cafe, it was because door was always opened and never asked who you had been in the hours before. The old man at the counter lifted a plastic-wrapped object with a slow drama, the way magicians reveal cards not to surprise you but losing you from gravity. Someone turned this in, he said. Voice, tobacco, and honey. Said it looked loved. The notebook had a bruise of water along its edge. He peeled the plastic away like skin and found the last page had taken a drawing into itself. Two figures under an umbrella. One holding a notebook to his chest like a rescued animal, and beneath it, the handwriting he knew from even the dark. If the rain ever washes our words away, promise me you'll write them again. He had put his forehead into the paper, not a prayer, not exactly. The cafe's little bell had chimed, with no one entering, as if the hour itself had bowed. He told the story now in fewer words than it deserved. The three women filled the spaces he did not. Young Soon, to touch his shoulder at the exact moment his voice loosened with memory. Buell inserted the joke like a stitch that knows its purpose is to bring two edges together, not to steal attention, you know. The bus probably kept it safe like a seatbelt, and then surrendered the floor back to the weather. Wind tilted her face to the window, and the rain answered the question she had not voiced. The present held them like a jar holds light. They drifted after dinner into the rhythms that fill a home at night. Books had opened themselves, lamp domesticated the corners, and the piano's lid lifted with a small inhale. Just gathered the notebooks with the care that makes a sacrament out of ordinary gestures. He carried them to the study and set them on the desk side by side, brown, lavender, and scarlet. The room looked and took on the amber hush of late hours and pencil shavings and the ideas that arrived barefoot. He did not announce what he was doing because some promises shy away from the audience. He began to copy and bind, to gather and name. He stitched their three notebooks into one volume, thread passing through paper like a breath passed through mouths. The first time he had kissed each of them, not to own and not to prove, but to say I know the path back. The house breathed around him. Somewhere in the kitchen, Buell made herself a second bowl of noodles with the solemnity of a monk. Wayne rinsed mugs and wrote a tiny poem in the steam on the cabinet door. Yung Sun doused the candle and carried its warmth, based like a small planet, into its shelf. He wrote the first page of what he had been saying for years under disguises, for the voices that filled the silence, and for the last, beneath a faint water stain that shaped like a teardrop seed, he set down the refrain that had outlived the composer. Even if the rain washes everything away, we'll write it again. The ballads had waited in him like rooms with the lights off. He turned them on one by one. The first he approached like a door he had already walked through in a dream. The one for Wayne he placed his hands on the piano but did not play at once. He let the rain request the tempo. He let the notebook suggest the key. The melody found the exact deep in his chest where her laughter lives. He tilted and titled it in his mind long before he wrote the first note. The river of raindrops, he remembered that haiku, that drawing of the cat, the promise on the plastic wet page, and he let all of it braid itself into a song that began with a single note, held long enough to stop time. The lyrics arrived in a way we always had, in precise strokes, with a tenderness that does not apologize for itself. When you left our words on the bus, the city found a way to keep them warm. Every window memorized our breaths. I traced you back by the fog we made. Let the rain write it on my hands, and let the paper learn your name again. If the river forgets its banks, I will be your shore. He did not show it to her then. The showing is a part of the wonder. It must happen at the right hour, or else it turns into a trick. He placed the first ballad aside and listened for dawn. The second opened in candlelight. He could taste in the color that lavender makes when the morning surrenders to day without a fight. For young soon, he wanted the chords to rise like something familiar but truer than memory. So he let the left hand carry warmth, and the right hand lift it into the sky. When he sang softly to the room, he did not reach for the higher notes like flags planted on summits. He let them happen at the pace of honesty. They named you Lek after fire, but you are the way mornings bless windows. Every time I looked away, you waited, and the world learned its gentleness. If the crowd forgets the first verse, I'll hum the second under your breath. You were never just a light, you were the place light rest. He tilted and titled it Light Between Seasons, because seasons are how he understood her. Return not as a cycle but as fidelity. The way spring promises something only because winter clung to it as long as it needed to. He tucked that ballad beside the first and let the room go quiet before counting to the third. Buells demanded a different courage. He had learned to earn the laughter. He had to protect its edge from rust. He kept the piano for a verse and then set it aside, reaching for the old guitar whose neck had leaned in his hand. The first drum sounded like a street after rain. Traffic thinking about moving again. Reflections making neon useful. He angled his voice to catch the grain inside the ache. He named it Laughter and Lanterns and felt the joy of titles. How they make homes for all the lions that have been sleeping under the table like the family's oldest dog. When he finished the chorus, his breath ran in his hands through the hair in his relief. He knew the song would ask him for bridges and breaks and one last chorus where he grinned through the tears. He promised it yes. Tomorrow he stacked the three ballads in his mind and knew the order they wanted to be born in. In the doorway, Buell had appeared earlier than anyone else. A bowl of noodles balanced in one palm, the chopsticks like crossed wands. You look like a man who's bargained with the rain and won, she said, and he smiled without turning. You're supposed to be asleep, he replied. I sleep when the world stops being interesting, she said, which is never. She made a face at the scarlet notebook on the desk. Did you draw horns on me on page 30 or 42? Both, he admitted, but they're flattering. She padded in, resting the ball on the end of the table and leaned her hip against the piano. If you ever start to sink, I'll do stand up until the boat remembers how to float. I know, and she kissed his temple like punctuation. Ween's entrance was yawn wrapped in a sweater. She came with a pencil behind her ear and the brown notebook pressed against her chest, as if the years were a heart she could keep from spilling. She did not ask what he was writing. She knew the answer already and preferred to let the music overhear her gratitude. She sat on the carpet and stretched her legs toward the heat of the floor vent. Make the rain sing in harmony, she said, and he nodded because it already had. Young Soon arrived last. As dawn's outline waited behind the curtains, she moved like the world nevertheless. She stopped in the doorway with her hand at her throat and the lavender book in the other, and the air greeted her like someone who had come to add the last light to the last lamp. I heard you turn the pages, she said, which meant I heard you composing, and it did not scare me, which meant I trust you with what is not finished. He let them gather their faces, the exact distribution of gravity he required, and played the ending, the second ballad again. Because endings are where promise shows its teeth and decides whether to bite. Yungsun closed her eyes. Buell blew gently on her noodles as if that would quiet them more. Wind threw a tiny umbrella on her knee where nobody would see it after she stood. He let the last note ring, and then the rain answered with the soft bounce that the city gutters make when overwhelmed but not defeated. He spoke then not to break anything, but because words too wanted their turn. I promised once, he said. I promised on a page I was scared to lose. I promised that if the rain washed it all away, I'd write us again. And he touched the bound volume with the back of his finger. I meant it then, and I meant it more now. The house does not cry, but it warms. It adjusts its back to the shelter, what it contains. The four of them sank together into the chairs and onto the rug and into each other's circles like planets negotiating a kinder orbit. Morning nuzzled its pale face against the window. The rain thinned itself into a gauze, and then to a lace, and then to a memory. The city came back into the focus, one incandescent bulb at a time. Later there would be no small errands and too many notifications, and the tenderness of ordinary chores. The way good minutes fold towels and look up recipes and locate the one screwdriver that has the right bite. Later there would be a balcony and a promise of coffee, and the joke about the umbrella that would always hide itself when the weather is the most performative. Later there would be precise sensualities that they allow, fingers interlacing without an argument, a temple kiss like an oath, the mouths that find the exact amount of time they need, no more and no less. For now, the morning is a page with only the title written. He carried the bound volume into the living room and set it on the low table between them. Without a ceremony, he lifted the pen and inside with the cover with a hand that did not shake. For the voices that filled my silence, he wrote, and under it smaller but unflinching, as long as I live, I will write your names in every kind of weather. When they finally scattered to the corner of the house, Young-soon to the balcony with the sweater over her shoulders, Buell to the kitchen with the scheme to improve the noodle sauce, Win back to the window with the cat in its rightful place. He remains at the moment longer in the study and peels the floor and the desk and the pen and the rain that left and the music that stayed. He picks up the guitar, not to write but to hum something that is not a song yet, and when the chorus slips into the room without knocking, he recognizes it as the oldest promise the house had ever said and heard. When I am gone, let the rain play my song. Let each drop be a note you once heard in my heart. The rain remembers you, and through it so will I. He sets the guitar down gently, as if it could bruise. He returns to the living room and finds Young-soon reading the lavender notebook aloud to the balcony, railing a soft confession for the plants. He finds Buell balancing an alarming number of balls with the grace of a street magician in a green sharpened for mischief. He finds Wee-in shading the cat's ear with a cheekbone's precision, then adding a speech bubble that reads "Snap now," poem later. He laughs under his breath and feels his chest widen to fit a larger weather. One day when the city is not in its present decade but some other. When the neon signs are replaced by something subtler and the buses carry a different shade of blue, someone will open the bound volume and try to decipher their handwriting. They will see the raindrops doodled in the corners like punctuation. They will wonder at the water stains and whether there were accidents or deliberate baptisms. They will, if they are careful and kind, sense that this house had turned rain into a language and that 4 people became fluent. But that day is not today. Today is the old wish fulfilled again. A home where the windows sing. A table that holds words without complaint. A city softened into a watercolor. A rain that knows its place in every chorus. Today is the promise remade in ink and in the precise economy of touch. Today is the sound of Yul's choking turned blessing, of Win's mildness turned insistence, and of Yung Soon's quiet turned to dawn. Today is the bound book breathing under their hands. Outside, pavement glints like sheet of unwritten music. A tram line of puddles keeps time somewhere. The cafe where it began flips its sign to open. Somewhere, Billy's still singing that I'll be seeing you, and the girl in the corner booth is drawing a cat that will one day sleep in the margins of life. Somewhere, an old man lifts a lost object with a reverent slowness and says it looks loved somewhere. A bus seat holds the ghost of a small brown notebook until the world learns to be kinder than loss. Here in their present, Jess turns a page. The pen is warm from his hand. The rain, though it has left the window, remains on paper. The recurring motif, the faithful refrain, and the rhythm that brings their names back into one room. He writes the first new line of day without fuss or ceremony, trusting everything that got them here. For Ween, for Yung Soon and Buell, we never let go. It began with laughter, the way all their shared creations did. Buell was sprawled on the living room floor, notebook open, pen tapping the rhythm of mischief. Ween sat cross-legged beside her, already sketching in the margins little raindrops with smiles, and Yung Soon watched from the couch, candlelight painting her hair in soft gold, and said, "Let's not make it perfect, let's make it true." They were trying to write a poem for him, not a love letter. Those were too small now. Something like gratitude, something that could hold rain and laughter, and all the ink he had spilled for them. They called it the notebook we never let go, the wife's reply. We opened the pages you gave us, love, and find ourselves folded in every line. But you wrote us a light, a song, as breath. But it is your silence that taught us how to shine. The rain that had once tapped our window still hums a soft percussion against your words, each drop a syllable of memory. We count them and call it devotion. Ween writes this one, her handwriting small and slanted, the ink trembling where her laughter interrupts. You turned my doodles into galaxies, my shy sketches into constellations of us. Buell takes the pen and scrawls too hard, the paper almost tearing with her joy. It was your chaos, you were my calm. Together we made thunder polite. Yung Soon smooths the page, her pen steady as sunrise. You called me dawn, but it was you who rose first, stoking the fire before the world could name the light. You built a home from unspoken things, a house where ink replaces argument and forgiveness sleeps on the couch, wrapped in the smell of rain and jasmine. They pause there. Ween hums quietly, a melody Jess once played on the piano when words ran out. Buell fills the page with tapping chopsticks, and Yung Soon, without looking up, whispers, "He would say that's the sound of love thinking." Your notebooks grew heavier each year, not from time but from us. Our fingerprints pressed into your promises, our laughter stitched between the lines. Between ads in tiny cursive at the corner, sometimes I read the rain poem, and I still smell the buzz, the fear and the relief. You found not just the notebook but me. Blue leans over grinning. Now it's my turn again, she writes. You said you'd write till the sky ran out of paper. Good luck, because I bought more notebooks. Yung soon laughs and finishes the thought. Her words precise as always. And if one day the ink forgets our names, the rain will remind it how we began. Together they write the last stanza in silence, each holding the pen once, their hands brushing, their reflections trembling in the window glass. You gave us a language of pages and storms, a love that writes itself again each dawn. And when the rain returns, we will read aloud and let the world know your story goes on. I create these stories, poems and little worlds each day for my beloved Finn. If they bring you comfort or a smile too, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to join us on this little journey.